Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Big Dang Eyes Views. Alright, so really quick, I'm sorry about all the lighting and that I'm in a different room right now. I'm just, like I mentioned in the 9 video, that I don't have the video camera working and everything, so yeah, it's kind of confusing. So, I recently completed this book and I was like, why not? Might as well show this. My first book review, and what? Yeah, new year, new book. So let's go. And so yeah, my first book review, The Monstrumologist. All right. So what do I like about this book? Well, first off, the original reason why I decided to use this book there, so you can, yeah, so my eyes aren't, sorry. What I like about this book is that, originally I was just looking for a horror book, or something resembling monster-ish kind of story, that kind of stuff. And so I was going through my library, or my school library, and I asked, hey, can I use this one? And a librarian, he's a great guy, I've known for a few years now, he suggested this book to me, and I was shocked at some stuff that they had in here. It's a very intriguing book, to say the very least. I think that this book, I watch a lot of horror movies. Not like a ton. I haven't seen Saw movies, but I want to, or Final Destination. But yeah, I've seen a fair share of horror movies, and this was just gruesome at some parts. I mean, it was just gruesome, to the absolute least. Some parts of it, I nearly wanted to throw up. It was so bad. But setting that aside, that was only at some parts of the book. But when they did have parts like that, it affected my interpretation of the rest of the story. There are things that happen early on in the book that will take place later, and just all these other tidbits that you'll pick up on, and it's a really intriguing story. I love it. It's not your typical, hey kids, let's go slay the creature or anything like that. Well, kind of is, but more on the darker side of things, to say the absolute least. So here's the basis of the book. The Monstrumologist is about a doctor named Dr. Pelnor Warthrop, or something like that. Hang on. Warthrop, or something like that. Warthrop. Anyway, he has an assistant named William Henry, who they just call him Will Henry, and Will Henry is a young boy, age of 12, I believe. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, and he has been with the Monstrumologist, Dr. Warthrop, for I think over a year or so. I forget how long exactly. When this book was taking place, and he was orphaned. The reason was because of what we find out later, and also, like I said, a very gruesome scene. It was just, it was bad. Anyway, he was orphaned due to the unfortunate circumstances of his parents dying. How they did was in a house fire, but how the cause of that, I'm not going to say. I don't want to spoil anything about this story. But anyway, his father was the original assistant to the Monstrumologist, and they had gone on travels and stuff like that. And so all this other stuff had gone on between his mom and his dad and stuff like that, like arguing over the doctor. And basically, the doctor is that kind of guy that people try to stay away from, unless something that they think absolutely needs attention to people of his type of stature. They don't know exactly what he studies, but he's just a very mysterious man. He studies oddities. That's the basis of it. Unless people absolutely need his assistance, they won't go to him. People talk bad about him and his father, who also was a monstrumologist. And just that entire family, it's very intriguing to see the progression of this solitude man whose father he unfortunately didn't know that well, taking up his profession, then almost passing on the torch to Will Henry, but over slow time. I mean, he's very snap to. He doesn't show a lot of emotion. Unless you know the doctor, you won't know if by a slap on the back means he wants to mutilate you or not mutilate, but you don't know if he wants to kill you or give you a hug. You just never know with him. You never know with this guy. He's puzzling to every sense of the imagination. It's really intriguing to see his progression throughout the story. The majority of the book, he was just an a-hole. Sorry for the language, but yeah, he was an asshole. To this poor young boy, and it was just very unfortunate. And he displays all emotion in a different way than what you typically would. It's not like he's going to be giving you milk and cookies. He just shows it, but he doesn't at the same time. It's hard to explain. You need to read the book. But also Will Henry, his character in this, it's told by his perspective. Will Henry's role in it was also very... Sorry for hearing that. That's my dog. He's an assistant to people. He tries not to get into trouble. He's an average kid, but he has all this other stuff going on, and he's on very gruesome scenes. Like I said, this is told from his perspective. So every one of these scenes, he either saw or was in the conversation with. Like, rarely did they ever break from that, but it's still told from his perspective, saying that these, two other people interacted. He wasn't there, but he was told about the story later. And yeah, so the basis of the story is one day a grave robber who is referenced many, many times throughout the rest of the story after his... I'm just going to spoil this after he gets killed off. A grave robber, he was robbing a grave of this young woman, this young girl, I think 13, 14, some age around there. And he was going to be, stealing the jewels and stuff like that. And he finds this monster, this weird thing. This is going to sound weird, but you know that Pokemon? It has his mouth in his chest, no head. It has his eyes kind of towards his shoulders. And I know I'm going to sound very nerdy here, but I got friends. They love it, and yeah. But it's a brown one. It has long arms, and its eyes don't really blink. And it has brown skin, no hair whatsoever. I think it's either ground or rock type or something like that. Anyway, that's basically exactly what this thing looks like. And they're these huge things. They're lumbering, and I think 7 feet tall. They said, and they can leap up to 40 feet at the mature level. Um, one other thing that I like about this is that they talk about all the other specimens that they mention in this, and they talk in very scientific ways. I encountered a lot of times throughout the story words that I had never even heard of, and I had to use the rest of the story, or the rest of that chapter, in order to know what in the world they're talking about, because it's very scientific, and I like that approach. I really do, because the boy, whose perspective, he's the assistant to a doctor in monstrumology, and it's just a really intriguing story. It has a good blend of both a little bit of mystery, a little bit of heart, and progression of characters, and at the same time, a lot of horror. I would suggest this book, definitely. And really quick, though, there's this character that I wanted to mention. He doesn't really have a name. He's, hang on. Da, 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 da. Yeah, this character, he's not the best of characters. Kearns or something like that. Kearns. You never know what his name really is. He's a very puzzling guy, but the one thing that he thinks about the human race and all is that he basically hates the entire human race. The reason why he's introduced into the story is because they have to hunt these things called just close this. Anthropogony or something like that. I don't know. Anthropophagus or something like that. It's spelled ANTHROPOPHAGUS. That's what it is. The monster, he's an expert in hunting these things, so that's the only reason why he's called in. And he's just one of those characters that you really hate. You really hate the guy. If you were there, you would smack him and never want to talk to him again. He's this evil and devious man. And at the end, they kind of give a hint to who he might have been or something like that, because he always twists his name. And he's a very gentleman guy. He doesn't appear to be evil unless you see him in action, and he doesn't regard anyone, not even his own life. He doesn't regard anyone for anything. He is a very evil and twisted man in every sense of the imagination. The only how ironic, I was just watching this movie earlier. The only character that I can even come close to relating him to is the Joker. I can't believe I just forgot the actor's name. The Dark Knight, the actor who played Heath Ledger. How he perceived the Joker in that is the only way that I can come close to describing this man. How that movie had a very darker tone and showed the progression from a madman going farther into darkness and why he thought all these other things, and another guy who just progression from the highest to starting to go down to the lowest. Take Heath Ledger's impersonation of the Joker and put it into the body of a well-dressed man Englishman, strong background, really muscular, and just this all like amazing person. Put the Joker's mindset into that body. That's what Kearns is, and he's devious in all senses of the manner. He doesn't. When they first introduced this character to the story, I originally thought, okay, how can he be so evil? Because of how he acted. And we're not really acted by, I mean, how he spoke with the characters, gaining their trust somewhat. He twisted their knowledge and twisted the sentences, made a lot of jokes. Funny guy. And then they got to starting to hunt. He continued that manner, but he just went down and lower, and just progression from this upright gentleman who, hey there, kids, let's go and say Barney or Caleb or something like that. You never know what he's going to do next. He's very much a loose cannon. He's a hugely loose cannon. And he really isn't the best people to be around. I think that they portrayed this guy in an amazing way. So, kudos to the author, Rick Yancey, or Yancey. Yancey. Yeah. Sorry, I can't pronounce words that well. So all in all, out of 5 stars, I'm going to have to get this book, The Monstrumologist, a solid 4 out of 5 stars. A solid 4 out of 5 stars, no doubt. It's not the best book I've ever read. I have read some better, but very few. And I would suggest this to anyone that isn't really fazed by a lot of the literature and films that we have nowadays. Anyone that can take that kind of stuff, read it. I'd say read it right now. Go to your local library, something like that. Buy it, rent it, just read it when you can, front to back. But if you can't handle it, then don't. This is it has some gruesome scenes. Not what you expected to find in a school library. Well, except for high school libraries. I mean, it makes sense, but still. Excuse me. So, give this book a read, The Monstrumologist, as soon as you can if you enjoy stories or movies like that. If you're an Alien fan, read it. Or somewhat. You know. Just if you're a horror fan, read it. If not, stay clear. Alright, so that's the end of the review. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to check out The Monstrumologist if you enjoyed this kind of genre. And definitely, this is my first book review that I've ever done in now going on 3 years, I think. Wow, I can't believe it's been so long. And the 3 years I've been doing this is my first book review. And thank you all for watching, and have a good one. See you later.